So this is a follow-up on my video about the secret funds in the church need to be revealed to everyone. And the title of this video is "The Market Gives, the Market Takes Away." Now, I served the church in the year 2008, and they had these secret funds, and the secret funds were completely invested in aggressive stock. So in 2008, 50% was wiped out. It went down 50%. Now, I was horrified at this and perturbed that the leadership would take everything and put it into aggressive stock. And so I begged the leadership to begin to withdraw from the market and put what was left in safe investments like certificates of deposit, etc. The reply that I got was, "Well, we lost all of that, so we're going to make it back." Now, I do understand that type of thinking, but it also seems to reflect an addiction to the stock market. So let me talk a little bit about these secret funds in the church and how people are obsessed with the stock market. So the secret fund controllers play the market with the offerings of God's people. Okay, the secret fund controllers play the market with the offerings of God's people. Now, you might want to pause right there and even question, should any church take the offerings from the offering plate and translate those offerings into stock? Now, you need to pause for just a minute and think about it. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that this past Sunday I went to church and I put $500 into the offering plate. In my mind, I put the $500 into the offering plate so that the pastor could be paid, Bibles could be purchased, youth group could be held. And lo and behold, a week later, someone says, "Well, that $500 is a surplus. Let's buy some stock with it." Now, it's completely unknown to me that that's what was done with the $500 I put into the offering plate. And if someone would have asked me on that Sunday morning, "Do you mind if we buy stock with your $500 that you're placing in the offering plate?" I would have said no. And I would have withdrawn my $500 and taken it elsewhere. So these folks that are involved with these secret funds and in controlling them, it's all about the market gives. Now, they do not want to talk about when the market takes away. So the secret fund controllers, in my opinion, in my estimation, have an addiction to the stock market. Now, they won't come forward and say, "Hi, my name is, and I'm addicted to the stock market," like an alcoholic. But they are obsessed with it, and they are determined that they will see more shares purchased, by the current shares and thus an increase in the overall value of the portfolio. So basically, once a church gets started, basically everything stays there. Now I know I'm overstating things, and I've only got so many churches to base my experience on, but that's my conclusion, that basically, once a church begins this, a church stays in the market, and withdrawals are not made. So any thought of withdrawing anything from these funds is anathema. In other words, the controllers who guard these funds do not want to hear that, because all they want to see are the dividends reinvested and additional stock purchased, thus increasing the value of the portfolio, which has nothing to do with the kingdom of God. It's everything to do with the kingdom of this world. Now, in a way, they're running the church by worldly standards. You can see I'm pretty passionate about this because I've encountered it in several churches over my 42 years. And it's not very pleasing when you realize what is being done behind the backs of the common, ordinary individual that attends a church service. So what can you do? That's a good question. If you're just a common, ordinary individual and you're not in the secret club that manages these things and talks about these things and makes decisions to reinvest the dividends and all that jazz. First thing I want to say to you is this. All investments of the church exist because of the offerings given to God. In other words, to call them investments is in a way wrong. To call them our such and such fund in a way is wrong. The one designation that covers every single one is offerings to God. Now once you strip the titles off of these things, you'll begin to understand a lot better of what these folks have been doing in the church life. They have been taking things that were offerings to God and turning them into what they want them to be, not necessarily what God desires for them. All right, so if you're still listening to me, I want to thank you, because I know very oftentimes people can move on and go to another video. But next thing I want to say is the investments are shielded by lies and liars. What do I mean by that? Well, they guard them. If you can imagine a guard outside of a bank with a gun, and that guard is there to do one thing, to make sure nobody steals or nobody talks about anything that is going on. Now, I'm not saying that people that guard these funds and who issue the lies and the liars are necessarily thieves, although I do have quite a few videos on theft in the church.